Hello everyone, welcome back aboard the Night Train. I hope everyone had a lovely festive period and a happy new year. So today I'm finally going to be showing off what I've been working on over the last several weeks. I've been hard at work on the track work for the layout, so check out what I've been up to. As I've been getting the track down onto the board, I've made some minor changes to the original track plan I designed. The narrow gauge sidings have been shortened to allow for a straight on the top right corner and a slight repositioning of the points. This was because I found the point to be too close to the baseboard edge for me to fit both the dropper wires for the baseboard connectors and power, and also a fitted point motor. This resulted in all of the narrow gauge sidings being shortened slightly, but they're still perfectly operable for what I plan to use them for. I've also reorganised the centre of the board, moving the museum into the middle of the board, where the narrow gauge line runs further away from the baseboard edges. This allows for more clearance around the museum building, and the building itself will cover a multitude of baseboard joins. A new museum platform has been added, with the siding now further away and on the inside of the narrow gauge loop. The model shop and bookshop have been moved from the centre of the board to the right hand side, and the route of the road has been slightly altered accordingly. I've also decided to swap the 2 yards around, having the goods yard and crane in the corner of the layout nearest the wall, and the engine shed and inspection pit on the outside corner of the layout. Initially, the engine shed was in the corner by the wall to reduce the risk of the building getting knocked, but the inspection pit and loco centre offers more interesting options for plane photography, so I brought this out of the shadows, so to speak. With the station tracks down, I've also discovered there's not enough room for a second platform, and therefore not enough space for the footbridge to go over the railway, so these have had to go. My first job in layout construction was to lay the cork for soundproofing and providing a track bed. This was done by gluing the cork in position, weighted down by heavy objects to get it stuck flat and evenly. Next, I painted a layer of grey underneath where the track will lay to cover up any potential gaps that may appear in the ballast, which will help blend these in. I then set to work painting the track. Revell acrylic leather brown was used to paint the standard gauge sleepers. For the narrow gauge sleepers, I chose a lighter weathering powder with a cold wood base colour. The rails were painted in Humbrol track colour, taking care to keep the railheads and interior lip clean for conductivity. This all dullens the plastic gloss of the sleepers and the metallic reflection of light off the sides of the rails. With the track ready to be laid, I began finalising the position and pinning the track in place on the board, leaving the rail pins slightly raised so that they can be removed if needed. For the tracks to be wired, I used a Dremel disc cutter to cut away plastic and sleepers where required. The base of the rails were then filed down to remove the chrome, making the soldering job easier. A small drop of solder was deposited on the underside of the rails, and the soldered wires were then joined in place. I made sure each outer rail got red wires and each inner rail had black wires for consistent colour coordination of the wiring. At the baseboard joins, I used single-sided copper-clad PCB board to secure the rail ends. These were measured out with sleeper offcut and then cut with a Dremel. I made a cutting through the copper layer to isolate both rails. With the track positioned, I marked out holes for the wires and drilled these, threading the wires through the board. With the track lined up on either side of the baseboard, I soldered the rails in place on the fixed PCB sections, testing them with a wagon to ensure the rails were aligned and at the right height. I screwed some board connectors on the wires dropped below the baseboard, and these just clip together nicely, passing power between the boards. And this is how the layout currently looks now. Both the narrow gauge loop and the standard gauge loop are pinned down and soldered in place, with all the track painted and board connectors joined up. I've got all the buildings out in their new positions to see how everything looks, and I think the museum works a lot better being the biggest building right in the centre of the layout behind the station. With all of the loops now down, I can begin working on fitting all of the points and track work for the fiddle yards, as well as beginning to work on the scenery to cover up a lot of this bare wood. So without further ado, it's finally time to run some trains. Given how harrowing this week has been for the hobby, I decided that there was no other engine to use for this inaugural run other than my Hatton's P-Class. On the narrow gauge line we have the Festiniog print. I don't own too much 009 stock yet, but I'm sure that is about to change. So there we are. That's everything that I've managed to get done over the festive period. all the track is down and working, what I've got to do next is get the wiring for the power permanently done under the baseboard. Everything is currently wired up a little bit ad hoc just to get trains working at the moment. And from there I'll be wiring up point motors, getting those fitted to the points, laying the fiddle yard, doing a lot of what I've been doing again. And after that it will be moving on to all of the scenery work. What I'm going to do with the scenery is start at the very back of the board and work forward, that way I'm not leaning over any of the scenery that I've already worked on. So I'll be starting at the back station halt, the transfer between the narrow gauge and standard gauge lines, getting the embankment done, getting the station done, getting the farmyard done in the corner, and then getting the water area done in the cutaway corner as well. And from there we'll work forward with the scenery and everything should hopefully come together nice and neatly. So once again, if you've enjoyed seeing how this layout's come along, please make sure that you like and share this video, subscribe to the channel to see how everything's progressing in the future, and please comment below on your thoughts on my plans and everything that I've done so far. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you all in another video very soon. Take care.